Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel, Armor Gaming, and welcome back to this week's analysis on Frostbite. Each time Frostbite breathes, he causes a blizzard, so if you're caught in front of him when he sneezes, you basically become an ice statue. Now just look at this little guy transform into this monster. So before I get into stats and skills, I have to say, this is by far one of the most powerful monsters that has ever been released. So let's get straight into the analysis. Power, 3,476. That is actually the second highest power for water monsters. That only comes second to Anton and the Blob. Life, 27,747. That is actually on the lower end of life, especially for water monsters. Speed, we have 3,421, and that is also on the lower end of speed for water monsters. In terms of deny monsters, he is only faster than Varuna and White Walker, and he's actually tied with General Thetis. So the bad thing about his speed is that this monster does not have an immune to freeze, which is weird. You would think this monster of all monsters would have immunity to freeze. So let's say you and your opponent both have 3 level 10 runes on both your water monsters. Your opponent's water monster, whether it be Kale Lick, whether it be Cabin Fish, whoever it is, as long as it's not Varuna or White Walker, they are most likely going to be able to deny you right away. They're going to be able to hit you with the freeze. So that's really bad. But anyways, he is a water monster. Therefore his weakness is thunder and his trait is energized, which makes him start off the match with 20% more energy. Again, it really sucks that this monster does not have immunity to freeze. Moving on to his default and special skills, we have Ice Pick and Snow Shards. Nothing special about those skills. For his special, we have Ethereal Blizzard. Deals heavy water damage to all enemies, removes 50% of stamina from all targets, gains 50% stamina. So this is in my opinion a really good ultimate skill, especially if you get your special attack like 1 or 2 turns into the game when your opponent's monsters have already used some stamina. This is pretty much going to deplete them to 0. And it also deals a nice amount of damage while at the same time recovering 50% of your stamina. Skills group 1, we have Frostblade, Cold Feet, and Withering Icicle. I don't want to spend any time on these skills because they are not worth analyzing. And like with just about any other monster, its skills group 2 and 3 is where it's at. So starting things off with Piercing Rainfall, it's an AoE, it deals 40 damage, it's 37 stamina, and it surprisingly only has a 2 turn cooldown for a 40 damage AoE that freezes. This is a really good skill. You definitely want to be running this skill. And next we have Arctic Boost. Look at this, may give double damage to all allies, not just a single ally, but both allies. At the same time, it adds 50% of stamina to all allies. This move is crazy good. The only thing it's lacking is increased accuracy, but if it was to have increased accuracy, then it'd be way too OP. Now I normally don't like Team Boost because you normally have a main attacker and then a deny monster and then some other monster, and your deny monster usually can't deal any damage. So like a 50% boost or a double boost doesn't help much, but on this monster who boasts the second highest stats power of all water monsters, it's definitely good to give himself a boost. So for that reason, I really like this skill. Next we have Gelid Strike. Deals heavy special damage, applies stamina leak to target, requires cooldown. Now what I like about this skill is the low stamina cost and the 1 turn cooldown, and at the same time 50 damage. It's not a bad skill, however it's not that amazing skill considering all the other skills he have, but of course that depends on the build. So moving on, we have Glacial Snowstorm, and this skill removes 100% of stamina from the target. So you target one monster and you remove 100% of stamina from that monster, and at the same time it may freeze all targets, which is crazy good. Crazy good. Like, you don't understand how amazing this is. There's a reason it has a 4 turn cooldown. The stamina cost, however, is honestly seems a little low to me. Now the reason this skill is so good is because it's really versatile. So for one thing, whatever monster you hit with the 100% stamina drain, they won't be able to recharge the next turn, right? So if you steal all their stamina and you freeze them, they waste a turn being frozen, which means they're still going to have 0 stamina, and then on the following turn they have to recharge. So that's one way to look at it. Another way to look at it is this is a perfect skill for going up against monsters that are immune to freeze. So now what you can potentially do is use Glacial Snowstorm on any monster that's immune to freeze. Say Oros, for example, he's probably the best example. So he'll lose 100% of his stamina. Yeah, he won't be frozen, but you still immobilize him for at least 1 turn. This is by far my favorite skill that Frostbite has to offer. And next we have Frozen Gust. Deals heavy water damage, removes 50% of stamina from target. It has a 2 turn cooldown, low stamina cost of 28. Now this skill is good if you're trying to make an offensive build, especially because of the 50% stamina drain. So working in conjunction with like Glacial Snowstorm, let's say you took away 100% of stamina from a monster, and let's say they weren't immune to freeze, well, when they recharge, next turn you can follow it up with Frozen Gust and they're back to 0 stamina. And the last skill on the list, also one of my favorites, Icy Leech. Removes 100% of stamina from target, gains 40% of stamina, requires cooldown. So this is also really low stamina and only a 4-turn cooldown, and you drain all of the enemy's stamina. One monster, you drain all of their stamina, while at the same time you heal your own stamina. So it kind of makes it seem like you're never going to have to recharge. But if you look at it, lots of his skills have really high cooldowns. Except for Piercing Rainfall, I'm surprised how that AoE has such a low cooldown. Also keep in mind that you're starting the game off with 20% more energy. So now that just leaves the question of what are the best skills for this monster. Now in my opinion, I think this monster should be 100% a deny monster. You give him 3 speed runes, the highest speed runes you have, and you equip them with Piercing Rainfall in order to freeze, Glacial Snowstorm, also to freeze but also to drain stamina, Icy Leech, also to drain stamina while recovering your own stamina, and Arctic Boost, which is a support move in case you ever need it. So this is the skill set I'm going to be using, and it's primarily used for deny and control. So I can see a game by starting off with Piercing Rainfall, and that's the only skill that can deal damage. Arctic Boost, Icy Leech, Glacial Snowstorm, none of this can do damage. So Piercing Rainfall, then I can follow up with Glacial Snowstorm and Icy Leech. I honestly think I'm rarely going to be using Arctic Boost, but the cool thing about Arctic Boost is that it's so versatile, which means at any given point, let's say I do Piercing Rainfall and it's my turn, soon after that again, I can use Arctic Boost to buff my attacker, to buff myself. Like, there are so many different possibilities. I really love this skill set. I don't even have the monster yet, but I really love this skill set and I can't wait to get him. Now another potential skill set you can do is, if you recall, I mentioned he has one of the highest powers for a water monster in the game. You can try to make him offensive. You can do Piercing Rainfall, you can do Gelid Strike, you can do Frozen Gust, and all of those are offensive skills. At the same time, they're really low stamina. And then I would also recommend running 1 to 2 moves. You can run Arctic Boost for that 2x damage and recovering your energy, or you can run Glacial Snowstorm just for that control. Now, just because you're making him an attacker doesn't mean you shouldn't make him without any control skills. Now, Piercing Rainfall is already control, right? It's an AoE freeze. But like I mentioned previously, sometimes it's really good to have a skill that can remove an enemy's stamina rather than just try to freeze them, because there's lots of monsters in the game that are immune to freeze. Now, as far as what team this monster works best in, that completely depends again on the build. If you made him an immobilizer, then he honestly fits in any team. If you made him an attacker, you just need to have a main immobilizer on your team and you're good to go. I should also mention that if you do the offensive build, you'd probably want to do 2 strength and 1 speed rune on him. And again, just remember, if you are running the immobilizer build, keep in mind that he's on the lower end of the speed monsters of all the water monsters. Him and General Thetis have the exact same speed, but they're also the slowest of all of the deny monsters, not including Varuna and White Walker. So that concludes my analysis on Frostbite. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you guys learned a lot. I hope you guys know what you're going to do when you get this monster. Please do try to get this monster. He is definitely worth getting. I wish you guys the best of luck, and I'll see you guys next time.